Hi all, I'm Pune, working as an assistant professor in the Department of Industrial Biotechnology. I'm going to handle the subject called bioorganic chemistry, and in our today class, we are going to see about the enzymes and what are the various types and their applications, along with what are the various techniques that has been used for the immobilization of your enzymes. So when we know, before getting into the topic, we had to be aware from where the term enzyme has been coined. So this term enzyme has been coined in the year 1878 by Kohne, and we call this enzyme as a ferment, since it is being used in the case of a various fermentation process. So we call that enzyme as a ferment. And here how we are calling this enzyme as a biocatalyst. So here the name which comes also from the chemical base in which the chemistry is being used as a in the chemical reaction, we are using the catalyst to speed up the various chemical reactions to get a product in a shorter period of a time. So in the same way, what are the enzymes which has been involved in speeding up of a various biological reactions? So we call the enzyme as a biocatalyst also, or we call it as a biological catalyst. So here the name which has been derived, in which the N represents your in and zyme represents your use, in which your the fermentation for process, the yeast is being used as a main source, right? So here the name has been derived from this word, is from the yeast, and we call that as a enzyme, which is called as a biological catalyst. So before getting into the topic and how this enzyme is being produced, so from where the enzyme is being produced. So when you talk about the enzyme is said to be the protein. As you all know that the enzyme is said to be the protein, whereas the protein is not said to be the enzyme. So all the enzymes are said to be the proteins, and proteins are not said to be the enzymes. So whatever the enzymes we do have, and those things we call it as a protein. So here in this case, we all know that this is said to be the biological catalyst or a biocatalyst that speeds up your any biochemical reaction or a biological reaction. So here, whenever we see that whatever the structure of a protein we have defined as a tertiary or a primary or a quaternary structure, and the same thing, it has the 3D globular protein structure, that is said to be it has your tertiary as well as your quaternary structure. And when we talk about from where this enzyme has been synthesized, so here in this case, this enzyme has been synthesized from your RNA molecule in the case of your living cells, which has a capacity for the substrate to convert into the product. And this, as we all know, that the proteins are said to be the building block of one amino acids. The same way, the enzymes are said to be a large macromolecular catalyst which are involved in a various biological reaction. So the RNA species of which will be act as an enzyme, and those enzymes we call it as the ribozymes. Okay, so here the next one, we see what are the various structure it has. So whenever we talk about your enzyme, it has a two main structure. The one is an active site, the next one is a catalytic site. So what we know about the active site is the same. It is where the region where your substrate will come to bind, so that your substrate can be holded to convert that into the product. Okay, so here when we talk about an active site, which will be having your specific shape, because it has all your enzyme has a tertiary as well as your quaternary structure. So due to the tertiary structure of a protein, it has a specific shape. It will particularly bind to the particular substrate, so that the enzymatic reactions will be carried out for your product formation. And when we talk about an active site, there are two sites. So when we talk about an active site, it has a two sites. Further, it has been divided into a binding site as well as your catalytic site. So when you talk about a binding site, it helps to choose the substrate where from in the enzyme will be having your active site, which will be deciding in which side of your substrate has to be bounded. So it chooses the substrate and binds to that particular active site. So when we have a substrate, where it has to be bounded, that has to be decided by your enzyme for its particular reaction. Then the second is said to be the catalytic site. So here in this case, the catalytic site, it helps to perform your catalytic action of your enzyme. So your reactions will be speed up. So the only not the substrate has been involved in by acting on with the enzyme for a product formation. There are also other various factors which have been involved. The other various factors are said to be the non-protein molecules. We call them as the cofactors. Okay, so these cofactors are said to be the non-protein molecules which has been able to carry out any number of chemical reactions as well as a biological reaction. So when we talk about your cofactors, there are two types of cofactors we do have. The one is an organic and then one is an inorganic cofactor. So here, when you talk about your cofactor, which will be bound to your inactive protein, so that the protein will not get activated by. So the cofactor is said to be the non-protein molecule, which if it has been bound to the inactive protein, the protein will not get been activated. Without the cofactor attachment, the protein is will not get an activated by. So when we talk about your binding site, so when what are the various factors we do have, and those which will be binding decided on where this substrate that has to be bounded on a particular binding site, so that then it will change its conformational transformation change that will be happening on a binding site, so that it will be bound, so that it gives you the or turns the protein into the active form. So the cofactor, after it binds, it makes a protein to be the activated one. So the cofactor, even though it is a non-protein molecule, it helps the active site or a binding site of your enzyme to decide where it has to be acted on a particular enzyme to carry out a particular reaction, which means that once the cofactor has been bounded to your any enzymatic molecule, the protein will get activated unless it will not get activated. Okay, so here when you talk about the organic cofactors, there are two types. The one is your prosthetic group and a coenzyme. As we all know that NAD plus is said to be a coenzymes, and prosthetic group in the sense the heme groups and what are the various biotin and albumin, those comes under a prosthetic group, which will be bound to your organic cofactor, so that it will be involved in the various enzymatic or chemical reactions to be carried out. So in the enzyme, if your cofactor has been removed, and we call that enzyme as an apoenzyme. Okay, so that we have there are various terms that has been used in the case of an enzyme, and in which the first one is said to be the apoenzyme, the enzyme with its cofactor removed. That is, without your cofactor, the enzyme is there, means activated, then we call it as an apoenzyme. In the other enzyme is said to be the holoenzyme, in which here the complex protein of a structure with the small organic molecules or ions or other components, we call it as a holoenzymes or a holoprotein. So before getting into the topic of types of enzyme, we will see what are the various features of your enzymes it has. So as you all know that in a chemistry, when we talk about the reactions will be carried out without an catalyst. So in which here, if your A is being reacted with a B, it can give you the product of C in a particular period of a time. So let us take it is of a 30 minutes it will take. And if we are using the catalyst, okay, like copper Cu2+, so here in this case, if we are adding the catalyst, the same reaction has to be carried out. So the A plus B will be reacted to give you the product C in a shorter period of a time, like 5 minutes to 10 minutes. So which means that the catalyst is said to be the speeding up of the reaction. Okay, so since we all know that the enzyme is said to be the biocatalyst, and we call that enzyme is said to be the biocatalyst, which has the main characteristic features. The first and foremost is said to be the speeding up the reactions by lowering the activation energy of your any type of a biological reaction. And when it has been speeded up, because of its properties of speeding up as a catalyst, it doesn't affect your any end product in the changes. The nature and the property of the end product will be the same. It will not be affected. Only the thing is the time duration has been reduced if we are using the enzyme as a biocatalyst. And if we are using an enzyme, the next feature is said to be the highly specific one. Okay, the highly specific one in the sense the particular enzyme will be acted only on a particular substrate. All the enzymes will not activate. So if we take on one enzyme, that will not acted on all the substrate. It will be acted only on a particular substrate. So we have the term called a highly specific in their action. And the small, even a minimum quantity of an enzyme, if you are adding, it accelerates your biological reaction as well as your biochemical reaction. And the main feature in the sense, because of a biocatalyst, these are said to be the very sensitive to your any factors like your temperature or a pH or your even a substrate concentration will be affected if because it is said to be the sensitive one. And whatever the end product we are deriving, that is defined as the product, how much amount of the molecule of an enzyme has been acted on a particular substrate, so that how much amount of the product has been transformed or produced can be defined as a number called a turnover number. In a short, we call it as a TON. And this turnover number is defined as the number of a substrate molecule transformed per minute by one molecule. Okay, so the next one will move on to the nomenclature, how we are going to name the enzyme. Most of the enzyme will have a suffix that ends in a suffix called your ASE. That will be called as a example hydrolase or your oxidase or a reductase, we can say ligase, liases, whatever the various enzymes will have that ends at the ase at the end of your substrate, and then those enzymes have been named. So this systematic name of your enzyme that has been done by your International Enzyme Nomenclature. So the next one we call the, so how we are naming, how the name of your enzyme is being carried out, or we are naming those enzymes based on a substrate what we had been in catalyst, or how which substrate has been activated. Okay. The next type, most of the enzyme which will be end at the ACE, but some of the enzymes like a hemoglobin, like a pepsin or renin or a trypsin, so those of the enzyme which will ends in that will have your in at the end of your suffix. So based on a systematic way, that naming of an enzyme can be classified. So the pepsin or a trypsin or a renin or a hemoglobin or a globin. So here the next one, so based on a substrate, how the enzyme is being acted on a particular substrate, and we are calling those name as a ACE. Based on the substrate. So here the lactase is an enzyme which acts on a substrate called a lactose to convert the product into the glucose and the galactose. So the same way the protease is being activated on a protein so that it is getting converted into the peptides. Okay, so the next one we'll see how we are naming this each and every enzyme. So here it is being classified on an enzyme by the International Enzyme Commission. So there are 6 types of your thing based on the types of a reaction that has been classified, or a catalyst. So the first classification is said to be the oxidoreductase. So when you talk about an oxidoreductase, the reaction type, what type of a reaction is being catalyzed. So here the name itself, it indicates it undergoes or it carries or catalyzes your oxidation as well as your reduction reaction. The examples are a lactate dehydrogenase. And the next one is the transferase. So we should not change the order of your enzyme classification. So it is said to be the OTHLIL, OTHLIL. Okay, so here in this case, the second one is said to be the transferase. The transferase is nothing but the transfer of any functional group between the substrates. Whenever we adding the enzyme to the substrate to be activated, though so there will be a functional group that will be across between changes between or bonding between your thing, and when that is said to be the transferring of a functional group between your substrate as well as an enzyme, and those type of a reaction we call it as a transferase. And the example is a hexokinase. So this you might have been seen in the case of a various biochemical pathways. The next one, third, is said to be the hydrolase, which helps it to carry out the hydrolysis reaction. So that is the bond cleavage, it will be transfer of a functional group of a water molecule. The example is said to be the lysozyme. Okay, so the next fourth one is your lysases. So the lysase is said to be your non-hydrolytic bond cleavage. Example is said to be the fumarase. So which means that there will be a lysis. Lysis in the sense the breaking of your bond between when the substrate is being added with the enzyme. And the fifth one is an isomerase, and the isomerase is said to be the intramolecular group transfer. So there will be a mirror property of your, like your chimer property it will be having. Okay, so the triose phosphate isomerase. The next one is the ligase. So when we talk about the ligases, the ligase, which means the joining. So there will be a new formation of a product by joining of a broken bonds. So that is why we call the synthesis of a new covalent bond between the substrate based on a hydrolysis reaction, and we they have the enzyme example as a RNA polymerase. So when we talk about oxidoreductase, it involved in both your oxidation reaction as well as the reaction. So we call it as involved in a redox reaction. So when we talk about your reduction reaction, the example is said to be the dehydrogenase, that is said to be the removal of a hydrogen molecule. And the next one, if it has been undergoing the oxidation reaction, we have the example as a oxidase. The transferase, in the sense there will be a transfer of a functional group from one substrate to the another form. So that is why it is given as the transfer of a group of atoms from one molecule to the another, in which this is said to be the substrate. So here from this substrate of an X of a functional group, it should be transferred to the second substrate. So there will be a bond formation or a new bond that will be formed between a second substrate. So here the examples are a transaminase and a phosphotransferase. The third one is the hydrolase, so which helps to carry out the hydrolysis of your substrate by addition of a water molecule. So this is said to be a one substrate in which your hydrolysis reaction has been occurred. So there will be a exchange of a OH group to that particular functional group, and the example we can have it as a maltase and a lipase. The fourth one is the lyase. So when we talk about a lyase, there will be a breaking of a chemical bond between that, which means that if this is said to be your one substrate, this substrate, which will, whatever the bond which has been having in between that, that will be broken down. So the A will be getting as a separate substrate, and other will be as a separate substrate for the further reactions to be carried out. So the example is said to be the D-carboxylase. The fifth one is an isomerase. So the isomerase is said to be the conversion of a one isomer to the another by transferring your group of an atoms from one molecule to the another molecule. Okay, so here in this case, the example we can have it as a isomerase enzyme. Okay, so the next one is the last classification of an enzyme is said to be the ligases. When we talk about a ligases, the ligase is nothing but your joining. So once the bond has been broken, in which there will be a joining of this two can be done with the help of a ligase molecule. So this type of a ligase enzyme which will be involved in most or all your biological reaction. So it helps to catalyze the synthesis of the new bond using your ATP hydrolysis. So the DNA, the good example is that the DNA ligase is involved in a DNA synthesis. So once the bond has been broken down, it helps to joining those broken bond by the formation of a new DNA molecule. So the next we'll move on to those immobilization of the enzyme. So when we talk about an immobilization, what do you mean by the immobilization? In the sense, we are going to make the enzyme to be in a confined region, that is to be in an arrest position. Okay, so that it will not lose its property, but it involved in your increase in the catalytic efficiency, which means that it will be involved in a large quantity of a product can be produced, so that it will be giving you the 100% of a product. So here the immobilization, so that we can define the immobilization of an enzyme is said to be the confinement of an enzyme in a distinct position that can be separated from the bulk space. That is a bulk region. From that, it has to be differentiated in a distinct position and exchanging it with the later one. So this bulk phase is nothing but the substrate it can be. So we are going to separate it from the substrate, and we are going to refine or confine the particular enzymatic activity in a particular thing by arresting it in a particular position, in a distinct phase, we can say. So this type of an immobilization of an enzyme can be done by the various methods. even though it has a various disadvantages, but all the types of an enzyme that can be immobilized, that can be used in a various higher end of your reactors for a high end of a product formation. Okay, so here in this case, when you talk about your how this immobilization has been carried out, it can be either done by a physically entrapped or covalently bonded by the chemical means. So it can be done by the physical means and also the chemical means with the help of your carrier. Without the carrier, it cannot be done. So here it is so we are making arresting or confining the enzyme activity in a particular position in a distinct phase, and we can also say this is said to be the restrictive localization of the particular enzyme. Okay, so here when you talk about your carrier, this carrier is said to be an insoluble matrix that has a high molecular weight polymer. So like it can be used for your cellulose or a polyacrylamide or a alginate. In the laboratory, we will be using your calcium or a sodium alginate for trapping the enzyme to be entrapped in a particular position for its increasing efficiency. So why we are doing this? So what are the advantages or a requirement we can see? So here, since we all know that the enzyme has a high specificity, so that the enzyme will not change its position or will not change in its physical property. So the unmodified property of the enzyme with the specificity, so that it needed for an immobilization, and it accelerates the chemical reaction. So we all know that the enzyme is said to speed up the reaction. If your chemical reaction is being carried out in a 30 minutes, it will be increases the speeding up of an efficiency within and reducing the time period of 10 minutes. And if we are using the immobilized enzyme, even that 10 minutes will be reduced for speeding up of a conversion of a substrate into a product in a 5 minutes. So that is why we call it as an accelerate, and it is said to be the cost effective, and it can be reused. Since we are defining or confining in a particular position, it can be reused at a several times. Okay, so the next one, the advantages, the same thing. It helps in an economy of the reaction can be improved, the easy separation of a product, the stabilization increases, the enzymatic property has been increased, it can be reused at the end of and deriving the end product. Your catalytic product can be done continuously, and the multi-enzymatic reactions can also be possible, in which we can add different types of an enzyme that can be acted on a different substrate in a different reactions. So it has a big why we are immobilizing the enzyme in the sense because it finds its application in a industrial and a medicinal fields. Okay, so what are the various methods? As we all know that the enzymes can be entrapped either by physical or a chemical means with the help of your matrices or a carrier. So based on your physical method, the first one is said to be the adsorption, the entrapping, and then the membrane confinement. And when we talk about a chemical method, there are 3 C's method you can remember, in which comes under your chemical method: the covalent bonding, cross-linking, chelation. Okay, so here when we are immobilizing the enzyme, we are using the matrix as a carrier. So what are the various features of a carrier it should have? It should be of a low cost. The carrier should not be high cost, so that it will give you the maximum quality of a high end of a product, and their physical strength should be more, the stability, the regenerability, and their enzyme enhancement of the enzyme specificity and a product inhibition should be reduced. And when we talk about a carrier, what are the various types of carriers we do have? So here we are having the various carriers like your collagen or albumin or a dextran or a silica gel glass, or if we are using a chemical one, we are using alginate as said to be your carrier. So the next one, we'll move on to your immobilization technique. So when you talk about your immobilization technique, and here in this case, first one is said to be your adsorption, so which comes under your physical entrapment. So here in this case, how we are going to use? So here we are going to use the physical forces like your electrostatic forces or a hydrophobic affinity binding to the special ligand. So here in this case, it can be explained with the help. So here we are going to make the enzyme to be added on a particular region with the help of your non-specific binding like electrostatic force or a hydrophobic affinity, so that it will be bind to the specific ligand. And here in this case, what are various pores in the sense static pore, dynamic pore, and a deposition pore. So here in this case, what are various types of a carrier we do use as an adsorbent or a alumina or a silica gel or a titanium. Okay, so what are the advantages in the sense it's said to be the simple and economical one, as well as it has helps in a loss of its activity will not be more, and it can be recycled, regenerated, and reused. This is one of the first most important characteristics of your immobilizing why we are going for doing. And disadvantages, it has a relatively low specific area for a binding because it will not be able to find, the enzyme will not be able to find where it has to be bonded with a particular substrate. So when we are exposing those enzymes to the microbial attack, it will be losing its activity in a faster manner. Okay, so that is why the one of the main demerits of your adsorption, and the yield will be low due to the inactivation. The next is said to be the entrapment. So here when we talk about your entrapment, the enzymes are entrapped within a suitable gel. So which means that we are going to confine or we are going to arrest the enzyme in a particular gel or a fiber. So in a gel, it may causes your matrix polymerization or a precipitation or a coagulation. So in our lab, if we are doing this experiment, we are going to make it use of a coagulation form, or we will be using in a polymerized form. So the polymerized is said to be one of a carrier which will be using for a enzyme to arrest its activity in a particular entrapment. So here how we are going to do this entrapment, and we'll be using the specific chemical called a calcium alginate for entrapping the enzyme. So there will be a bead like a formation which will be seen in this case. So here, when we are adding a enzyme along with the sodium alginate, if we add slowly to the calcium chloride solution, there will be exchange of chloride ions to your sodium alginate, so that it results in the formation of your calcium alginate as a beads. And in this beads, your enzymes will be confined or entrapped in a defined region. So the next one is said to be the chemical bonding. So here when you talk about a entrapment, so what are the various advantages are said to be? There won't be of a chemical modification, and it will have a stable form since it has been arrested in a bead formation, and it is very easy to handle, and it has been used for a reuse as one of the specific characteristics we do have for a immobilized enzyme. The disadvantages, the diffusion of a substrate and the product will be occurred. So here, even though it gives you the 100% result in a product formation, but diffusion of a substrate and product will be occur and reduce, and it will be making the enzyme to be inactivated. Okay, so the next one is the confinement. So this confinement can be done with the help of a membrane molecule. So here the enzyme molecule which will be occur in an aqueous form that can be arrested with the help of a semi-permeable membrane. So we call this technique as a membrane confinement. And here in this case, how we are going to do, what type of a membrane we are going to use? We are going to use the semi-permeable fiber or a membrane. So like your cellulose or your triacetate fibers, we are going to use for entrapping the enzyme molecule which are making in aqueous form. Okay, so here in this case, the next one is the microcapsule. So here in this case of a microcapsule, the enzymes are packed in a microcapsule form that has been formed by the polymerization reaction. So example can be done in the help of your liposomes. So here, whatever the things that has been formed of your phospholipid molecule, that will be entrapped with the help of an enzyme in a particular semi-permeable membrane. So the advantage, if you are using the semi-permeable type, it is not involved in a main advantage is said to be there is a no enzyme leakage which will be there, as well as the diffusional barrier to the substrate is said to be a disadvantage. So here in this case, using of a semi-permeable membrane, even though it makes the enzyme to be inhabited or and confined in a particular distinct phase for its longer activity, but it is said to be a not a cost effective one, because the semi-permeable membrane what you are using is a more cost one. So the next one is a chemical bonding. So when we talk about a chemical bonding, and this is a chemical bonding in which here the enzyme that forms a covalent link with the active group of a matrix. So here the chemical bonding in the sense, wherever the molecules we do have, where your enzymes which will be coated on it. So there will be a cross-linking, like a type, there will be a bonding of your enzyme and the substrate that will be there. So what are the substrate it needs? Like in a form of a carrier, it is covalently activated by your C and Br, that is a cyanogen bromide. And if it is of a COOH, it supports like a CMC activation by the azide derivatives, and amino, it supports the activations by forming your diazonium chloride on a treatment with the sodium nitroxide as well with your hydrochloric acid. So here the function group of an enzyme is which is involved in the linkage should not affect the actual property of your particular enzyme. So that is said to be the chemical bonding. So here in this case, when we talk about the enzyme which will be entrapped in a chemical bond between the substrate, between your enzymes itself. So that is why we call it as a chemical bonding. So what type of an adsorbent or a carrier we use are your polyacrylamide or a cellulose or a agarose one. And the main advantages, it's not affected by your pH, as well as it has a more ionic strength. And disadvantage is the active site can be modified and not a cost effective. The last one is said to be the cross-linking one. So when you talk about the cross-linking one, it involves in a linking of a cross-linkage of our enzymes to a multifunctional reagent without the use of any solid support. So here in this case, the enzyme which will be cross-linked with a particular enzyme when we are having the substrate. So here in this case, it involves in a cross-linking of an enzyme to the multifunctional reagent without the use of any support. So there will be a chemical bridge that will be occurred between the molecule and the support for a bridge. So how this support has been needed? So what are various support? So here the support is said to be the saccharose and a biocyanogen bromide that can be commonly used. The other carrier we use is said to be the ethyl chloroformate. So when you talk about the advantage is to be the strong linkage that can be leads to the low enzyme leakage. So here, because of a cross-linking of a multifunctional reagent that is being bounded between a particular enzyme, which will see a strong linkage. So it means that it has a high ionic strength as well as the pH. So we call as a whole, we have a higher stability in the sense. Okay. So the disadvantage, it is not a cost effective one because it involves a lot of technical issues. It will be arising for its one. So when we are doing this one, it means that it will be inactivated by the active site formation. So what are the various uses of an immobilized enzyme? Why? So when we found enzyme, this can be used for a various field, like your industry or a medicinal field for that can be used. So here the first one is the biotransformation. The next one is for a production of a secondary metabolites, and this type of immobilized enzyme can be used for a biosensors. So it will be helps to give you the signal into the signals that has been sensed by the biological into the digital value. So the next one is an ELISA test and washing powder, then a food industries as well as in a seed germ. As we all know that it finds its application in the case of an industrial as well as a medicinal field. So in the medicinal field, what we do, so in the case of since here when we are taking the glucose test, here in this case we are using the glucose oxidase as an enzyme that helps to convert this glucose into your n number of a product, so which will be able to determine what type of a how much amount of a sugar is being present in our body. That can be done with the help of two enzymes called glucose oxidase as well as your peroxidase. So the next one is your ELISA test, which will be able to detect the antibody. And in the case of an enzymes in a food industries, the enzymes are a pectinase and the lactase. So the lactase helps to break down the lactose into the glucose and the galactose. Then the pectinase helps to in the apple cell walls, that helps in a greater juice extraction. Then the enzymes used in the seed germination in the plant, then it will be able to convert the starch into the